Welcome to City Music Stories. Here we visit a city somewhere on Earth and look at two musical artists associated with that city. Until requests come for repeating artists, I'm focusing on how the artist got their big break. That might be their first single or their first recorded work. This series is driven by comments, so leave a comment for future videos. Let's get ready to travel now. Today we are going to Seattle, Washington. And this was suggested by my friend on YouTube, Steenbean M. And fun fact, she has been with my channel since before I started really trying on YouTube. So just wanted to say I do know that and thank you very, very much. Steenbean suggested the city and both artists in this video. And the two artists we're going to focus on are Jimi Hendrix and Soundgarden. Let's get some details on this town. Seattle is a seaport city on the west coast of the United States. With a 2020 population of 737,000, it is the largest city in both the state of Washington and the Pacific Northwest. The Seattle metropolitan area's population is 4 million, making it the 15th largest city in the United States. And some musical history. Between 1918 and 1951, nearly 24 jazz nightclubs existed along Jackson Street, from the current Chinatown International District to the Central District. The jazz scene nurtured the early careers of Ray Charles, Quincy Jones, Ernestine Anderson, and others. Seattle is also the birthplace of rock musician Jimi Hendrix, as well as the origin of bands Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Foo Fighters, and the alternative rock movement, grunge. And here's some tourist information. With everything from unrivaled natural beauty and world-class attractions to major sports teams, a thriving arts and culture scene, and beyond, there's always something to do in Seattle. No matter what you're looking for, the Emerald City has you covered. You can meet artists and makers, shop indie boutiques and designer fashions, admire priceless works of art, sing your heart out at a karaoke club, explore like a local in the city's diverse neighborhoods, and enjoy nature, all without ever having to leave the city. No matter what you're looking for, the perfect adventure awaits. See the link in the description to check out some more. I want to say thanks to my patrons. Want to see your name listed? Then sign up at $3 or $5 per month. But you can support me at $1 a month too. Patrons make my work here possible. And each month now, I post 4 exclusive videos of original music, cover songs, or other content. I post often and share life and previews of what's to come. James Marshall Jimi Hendrix was an American musician, singer, and songwriter. Although his mainstream career spanned only 4 years, he's widely regarded as one of the most influential electric guitarists in the history of popular music, and one of the most celebrated musicians of the 20th century. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame describes him as arguably the greatest instrumentalist in the history of rock. Born in Seattle, Washington, Hendrix began playing guitar at the age of 15. In 1961, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, but was discharged the following year. Soon afterward, he moved to Clarksville, then Nashville, Tennessee, and began playing gigs on the Chitlin circuit, earning a place in the Isley Brothers backing band and later with Little Richard. In March 1964, Hendrix recorded the 2-part single Testify with the Isley Brothers. Released in June, it failed to chart. In May, he provided guitar instrumentation for the Don Covey song Mercy Mercy, issued in August by Rosemart Records and distributed by Atlantic. The track reached number 35 on the Billboard chart. Hendrix toured with the Isleys during much of 1964, but near the end of October, he left the band. Soon afterward, he joined Little Richard's touring band, The Upsetters. During a stop in Los Angeles, he recorded his first and only single with Richard, I Don't Know What You Got, But It's Got Me. Richard's popularity was waning at the time, and the single peaked at number 92. And a side note here, Jimi Hendrix's music is notoriously problematic to share on YouTube because it gets copyright claimed and sometimes even stricken. So I can't include the audio from this track. Looking closer at the song Testify, it's an up-tempo soul song. Written and recorded by the Isleys in 1964, it followed several successful singles by the group and was the first single to appear on their own T-Neck record label. Music critic Richard Unterberger describes Testify as delightful track, one that worked as both an out-and-out raver and a novelty, praising it as tremendously exciting up-tempo soul music. Jimi Hendrix provided the guitar parts, which Unterberger identifies as one of the best examples of his pre-experience recordings. And from another review, Testify is equal parts gospel, soul, and rock. Testify is a rave up about the power of music that's stunningly intense, at least in the first part. Part 2 goes off on a tangent that gets tiresome, with endless shoutouts to other performers such as Ray Charles, Jackie Wilson, and Stevie Wonder. It wasn't a hit, though the Isleys had already had some of those by 1964, including Shout and Twist and Shout, and plenty more were to follow. As we move on to our next artist, if you have an idea for an artist or a city, please let me know in the comments. Soundgarden was an American rock band formed in Seattle, Washington in 1984 by singer and rhythm guitarist Chris Cornell, lead guitarist Kim Thayil, and bassist Hiro Yamamoto. Matt Cameron became the band's full-time drummer in 1986, while bassist Ben Shepherd became a permanent replacement for Yamamoto in 1990. The band dissolved in 1997 and reformed in 2010. And after Cornell's death, Thayil declared in October of 2018 that the band was finished. They did a one-off concert in 2019 as a tribute to Cornell. Soundgarden are associated with grunge, a style of alternative rock that developed in Seattle. After releasing 2 EPs on the Seattle-based label Sub Pop in 1987 and 1988, their debut album Ultra Mega OK was released on a California-based independent label SST Records in 1989. Although the album did not sell well nationally, it gained critical acclaim. It was nominated for a Grammy Award in 1990. Soundgarden's first recordings were 3 songs that appeared on the 1986 compilation album for CZ Records called Deep Six. The songs were Heretic, Tears to Forget, and All Your Lies. It also featured songs by fellow grunge pioneers Green River, Skinyard, Malfunction, The Human, and the Melvins. Unfortunately, I couldn't include any Soundgarden audio in this video either. Here's an excerpt of an article reviewing all of Soundgarden's songs, and this is about Heretic. Because it appears earliest in the track listings on Deep Six, Heretic holds the distinction of being the first officially released Soundgarden song. It's definitely lo-fi, and they don't quite sound like the Soundgarden the world came to know and love quite yet. But it's an interesting listen regardless. The later version they recorded for Pump Up the Volume soundtrack in 1990, it's much more fully realized and a lot heftier. And I gotta say, back in my kind of punky skateboard days, I remember hearing, this tape that Heretic was on, and I was thinking, wow, this is something different. It's not quite hardcore. And before we had the term grunge, this is something we probably would have called post-punk or something along those lines. Thank you for watching along with me as I talked about these 2 artists. If you have an idea for an artist or a city, please let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.